Thanks, Postman Fro. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and this is the brand new Sigma 300 to 600 millimeter f4 DGOS sports lens. This just came in the mail. This video is basically, think of it like a first look unboxing without the box because it just came in, and I will be taking it out into the real world this week for a bunch of different photo shoots. I hope to take it to Conowingo Dam this Friday to photograph some eagles if they're flying. I've got a women's lacrosse match set up as well as a Philadelphia Union soccer game. That's a lot of stuff for this lens, wildlife and sports. So you might have heard that I didn't say DN. DN has been dropped. That meant digital native from Sigma. At this point, everything is digital native and made for mirrorless cameras. But this is a massive hunk of glass that is designed for Sony E-mount as well as the L-mount alliance. Sorry Nikon shooters, sorry Canon shooters, but Panasonic shooters, you could get it for an L mount. Now, let's take a look around the outside of the lens and just give you some quick thoughts on it. It's heavy. It weighs 8.75 pounds or right around 4 kilos. It is heavy. This is not a hand-holdable lens, even for me. I mean, trying to do curls with this thing is like, I'm hurting my shoulder doing it. This is a massive hunk of glass. It is designed to be shot with a monopod. It is designed to be shot on a tripod. That's why it has the Arca Swiss plate already built in. So it's really not hand-holdable at all. Your zoom, you have your 300, this is 600. So yes, it's not the quickest, lightest throw or zoom ever, but you got to understand that there's a ton of glass that needs to move out of the way. So it's possible with your thumb and forefinger when you're on a monopod or if you're hand holding and of course on a tripod, but I'm probably going to be zooming more along the way of rotating my hand on the top like this is where I'm going to rest it, and that's how I'm going to go and do the zoom when I'm shooting because I'm not going to even attempt to hand hold this. So the throw range is actually pretty short from 3 to 6. That's not very far. And in the past, Sigma had a 120 to 300 2.8. That was a super unique lens that they did. They had a 200 to 500 2.8 that needed a separate battery pack, but also was $30,000. This is very unique. The fact that they went with f4 and did a zoom of 300 to 600 and didn't just do like, oh, it's a 600 6.3, they went and did something that has pretty much never been done before. But there are some limitations with this lens. When you put it onto a Sony body like the A9 III or any of them that shoot more than 15 frames a second, you are limited to 15 frames a second when it comes to continuous shooting. You cannot go beyond that. So that's one of the limitations you need to keep in mind. Now, they designed this very nicely. They talked about some heat dissipating coating of white. I mean, it's a very nice looking white. You've got a bunch of switches here on the side. Beep, which I never use for beaker. You've got your focus limiter, which I would never use there either. You have your focus manual to auto. You also have, what is this one? It's upside down. That's your limiter. Then you have OS on or off, and your different types for stabilizations 1 and 2. A couple of buttons around there that are custom buttons. And other than that, oh, one of the coolest things on the bottom of it, you know how there's lenses I talk about that don't have a click like this? This has a click, but it also has a switch to turn off the click. So now it can freely go and move. This is getting heavy to hold already. But remember, this isn't the review, but because this is such a unique and new lens, I wanted to quickly get this video out to you and do some size comparisons. I mean, it is a big lens. This is how tall it is. All right, let me break out a 600 f4 that I have from Canon. Now, mind you, this is the version 3, so it has the adapter on the top. You can see that the lens hood is slightly longer here, sits up higher. So if we put these together, they're very similar in height. because this gets like an extra inch or so. I think it's still a little shorter. We don't have the Sony lens because we don't have a Sony 600 f4 here. But what we do have is a Sony 200 to 600, which is another option that people are going to look at, is a 200 to 600. It's lighter. It has 200 to 300, 400, 500, and 600, where this is a 3 to 6, but this has obviously a higher aperture. It's less expensive at $2,000. This thing comes in at $6,000, which for what it is not bad. Now, Sigma says that you will get the quality of an f4 prime lens, like a 600 f4, all the way throughout the range. I will be testing that out. I will see how that looks. I will take it to the sporting events indoors and outdoors. Actually, not indoors. I say indoors because the Philadelphia Union match, it's very dark there, so that's almost like indoors, but it will be outdoors. And we will see how it turns out. I think $6,000 is priced very reasonably for those people that want f4 all the way through, love shooting birds and wildlife. This is definitely an option. It would be a nice safari lens to have a 3 to 6. Very good, especially at f4. I'm not flying to Kenya right now to go do it, but other than that, this is a very unique lens. There are still two tests that are very important here. I know it's not the full review, but I want to give it a sniff right here. Sniffy sniff. Oh, maple syrup from Canada. Yeah. Wind tunnel test is canceled because it's too big to fit in the wind tunnel. The one thing I do want to say is that this company called Zemlin makes these caps for the front of massive glass, so you don't need to use those stupid other ones that always fall off. I'm not sure the exact size of this. I don't have one to fit on there right now. This is not sponsored by them. I just really like these squeezy lens caps to put on my 400 to 8, 600 f4, 100 to 300, which already comes with one, but I could get one of these, and my 800 millimeters. So again, this is just a first look at the lens, giving you some size comparisons, giving you some of the pros and cons, the price, the size, the weight. I will be taking it out into the real world, like I said, to run it through its paces this week to see if it is a great sports lens, a good sports lens, a good wildlife lens, or a great wildlife lens. It's heavy. It's 9 pounds. It's a behemoth. But good on Sigma for innovating and coming up with something super unique and honestly affordable for what it is. Because I didn't say it earlier, but a 600 f4 from Sony and from Canon are pushing $13,000, and Nikon's with the built-in TC is pushing $15,000. So, will this come to Canon? Don't have the answer. Don't have the answer if it will come to Nikon, but this would be a huge seller for all of those systems, I will think, but we will find out when I test it out. So thank you guys very much for watching. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.